Death Trips is a very short but fun experience for horror game enthusiasts. If you haven't heard of it by now, it's somewhat of a parody game where you play as a detective hunting down a serial killer in a rundown hotel. You spawn in, ride the elevator, and arrive to a blacked out hallway that slowly reveals our killer. The killer, aptly named Lady Death, charges towards you, getting closer and closer as the music builds until Death trips and the game is over. That's it. It's a fun couple of minutes that got a good few laughs from Let's Players, and overall, everyone enjoyed the joke. But after playing it myself, I felt as if something was overlooked. To pull off such a joke successfully, the player can't see it coming. This is a particularly difficult task when it comes to horror games. From the moment the player hits start, they are on guard and looking out for any signs of danger or jump scares. This heightened sense of awareness means Death Trips needed to convince the player that they are actually in a horror game as to not spoil the joke. To do so requires some solid game design techniques that I feel Death Trips pulled off excellently. If you're in any way interested in game design or just how games work in general, you've probably seen Extra History's video on how Super Mario mastered level design. If you haven't, the short explanation is that the original Super Mario Bros. Teaches the player how to play the game in the first 30 seconds without any tutorial or cutscenes. They do so by simply allowing the player to try out their options until they figure out what it is they need to do. Death Trips does exactly the same thing to convince the player they're in a legitimate horror game so that the punchline can land. As soon as you boot up the game, you're only given a small blurb of backstory to set the scene. After that, you're spawned in a hotel lobby that is devoid of life. Creepy paintings adorn the wall, and only classical music from the radio fills the air. This is where the first piece of design kicks in. Hovering over the radio highlights it in a cyan outline, indicating that it can be interacted with. Trying various buttons until eventually you find that left click works, and the already somewhat somber music begins playing in reverse. This insinuates to the player that there will be items to interact with throughout the game, and that we should keep an eye out for anything with a cyan outline. Having the music play in reverse is also an extra factor in creating a feeling of unease that something isn't right. By now, you've also likely spotted our next point, the single key resting on the shelf. Also shrouded in a faint outline, we use the same interaction button and add it to our inventory. At this point, both the how and why of the game are established. We were given our motive as to why we're here in the first place, and have now organically been told how we'll accomplish said motive by interacting with our surroundings and looking for the door that our key belongs to. The player may still be on alert for anything that might try and scare them, but allowing them to figure out the game's mechanics occupies them enough to not overthink it. Once you finish scanning the room, you'll most likely check the door to see if the key fits. As soon as you know it doesn't, you're only left with one option: the elevator. Stepping inside causes the door to close automatically, temporarily removing control from the player and giving them time to prepare for what comes next. The lights come on one by one, creating tension and guiding our sight towards the climax. The elevator no longer works, and the doors around you are locked, leaving you to just sit there and watch as the payoff for the setup unfolds. The reason why I consider this such good game design by the developer, even though they use very simplistic methods, is that it's utilizing linear pathing as a distraction and not as a guide. When it comes to the aforementioned Mario game, the design features are teaching the player how to move forward and progress the game, with the intention of guiding the player to the end of the level. Death Trips uses the exact same premise, but instead is guiding the player to a false narrative, so that it can execute the punchline unexpectedly, even though they told you what was going to happen before you even downloaded the game. It's a very creative use of traditional game design mechanics for a non-traditional outcome, making Death Trips a short yet solid example of how even the simplest ideas can bring a fresh twist on heavily formulaic genres like horror. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure to interact with the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any other examples of traditional game design or tropes being used in clever ways, please share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. See you soon.